2 weeks late? Shit! You guys don't mind. I would go to school if this was the uniform and this was the bus and this was the book and the teacher was Davos.
Here.
The fucking Davos.
Have a taste.
2 onions. Heck, imagine 3 onions.
This week's episode of, well, last week's, Season 2, Episode 8 of House of the Dragon is about the clarity of purpose and running around, I guess.
Why does everybody hate her?
You must crush this beast at its head.
For every one of us who falls,
No, like this.
100 of them!
We're marching now toward our annihilation. To die will be a kind of relief. Don't you think?
I don't usually like to do the YouTubery thing, but since it's the finale, if you've enjoyed any of my content, please consider leaving a like and maybe a sub. It genuinely... Kicking off the action-packed finale is Tyland Lannister, and I don't want to be rude, but what the fuck are we doing here, guys? We're using nearly 10 minutes of this finale to watch Hugh of the Vale mud wrestle? Surely there are more pressing Oh! Monkey, hey.
Monkey.
It's kind of amusing that these are all entirely separate characters, but it's also very impressive work from Jefferson Hall for making each of them distinct. I loved him in Tenet as well-dressed man, and he also got to do the cold open in that Halloween remake.
Say something!
I don't know why this is so loud, I didn't edit it or anything. Tyland has been sent to bring the Triarchy on side, and surprise surprise, the guys who used to be led by the Crab Feeder are a bit off-kilter by Westerosi standards. Big boss in charge is this guy called Shirako Lohar, who is a combination of himself and a guy called Recalio Rindoon from the books. Stick with me, guys. The Free Cities are far more liberal than Westeros in terms of sexuality, expression and identity, and we see that reflected here in the wacky outfits and colourful hair that these extras have. We even get a quick glimpse at book-accurate Dario Naharis here, and it's kind of amusing that these are all the same person. Except it isn't, because I made that up for fun, but Dario does look like that in the books. They're weird, I don't know. Anyway, Lohar and his fleet will join the Greens if they can have the Stepstones, which is, yeah, fine, whatever, no one wants the Stepstones anyway. And also Tyland has to do whatever the fuck this is. If you want my fleet, first you're gonna have to defeat my obstacle course. Literally, what the fuck does that mean? You have to defeat me in a mud battle. Why the fuck would I have to do that? It's the finale. We have better things to be doing. You have to fuck my harem as well. Okay, fine, but only if you super glue me to the deck of your boat. Done. Oh, fuck yeah, this is the life. I think this might be the most fucked up anyone has ever looked on this front. Seriously, look at this guy. He looks so fucked up.
Whoa, is that blackface, dude?
Calm down. Aemond has laid waste to Sharp Point, which is the home of Mr. Gorman Massey off of Rhaenyra's Black Council. He's the dad of Rhaenyra's Bezzy mate Elinda, and we made it 5 minutes into the episode without changing something from the source material. Yay! We did it, team! Sharp Point... wow. Sharp Point is here? And in the books, it's actually where House Bar Aemond is from, not House Massey, and they've changed it because they've ruined my life. They did actually keep the watchtower though, which ironically is the only thing not burning. Aemond ran away like a pussy last episode, and to feel better about it, he's taken his anger out on a molehill to feel all big and tall. Now that he's basically king, instead of having to accept humiliation, he can reroute his anger into a more healthy and productive path of setting fire to thousands of men, probably for no strategic reason other than that they're nearby. Drawing from the ancient and endless power of my media studies A-level, I've surmised that this is because Aemond is a fucked up person. And Laris did a BTEC, so he's figured this out too.
We must leave King's Landing quickly, and we will not return for some time.
I am the king. Why must I run?
Because the Prince Regent is going to kill you.
I mean, that's as good a reason as any. And on top of that, they don't realise that the budget has run out, so they think Rhaenyra and her now 7 dragons could arrive at any moment. Let's do an end of season dragon check now that Rhaenyra's recruited some yucky poor people.
Mongrels!
No, Jace, his name is Ulf, and he's the writer of Silverwing. There's also Hugh Hammer on Vermithor, and of course Adam, my favourite, on Seasmoke. Let's go rapid fire for the monarchy. We have Rhaenyra on Syrax, Daemon on Caraxes, Jacaerys on Vermax, and last but not least, Baelor on Moondancer. Over on Team Green, we have Aemond on Vhagar, and Helena on Dreamfire. Sadly, we still haven't seen Dreamfire. I think we should have this episode, but oh well. And here's a list of them all ranked roughly biggest to smallest. Pause if you care, I don't care if you don't, sorry. Back to whatever I was talking about before this. Editing correct here, hello. I completely forgot about Daemon Targaryen, who is riding Tessarion. But Tessarion is like the smallest one, just so you know.
I have, over the years, in anticipation of little bumps in the road, moved the greater part of Harrenhal's gold reserves to the Iron Bank in Braavos.
The Iron Bank of Braavos is perhaps the single wealthiest group in the known world. We saw them back in Game of Thrones. You might remember this guy with the cool voice.
Welcome to the Iron Bank. Please, sit.
Anyway, this is where Larys has been storing all of his gold instead of at Harrenhal. He basically left the other strongs with the bare minimum to survive and kept the rest for himself, which is why Daemon's little cleanup project has been so tricky. It might seem obvious nowadays, but keeping your money in a bank is far from common practice in Westeros. This little maneuver shows a great deal of foresight from the Master of Whispers, but Aemond doesn't see the point. He's lost his dragon, control of his kingdom, his family scorn him at every turn, he's burned, physically disabled, and to top it all off, his penis exploded.
My cock is destroyed, did they tell you that? It burst in the flames like a sausage on a spit. Pork sausage.
Honestly, not having a penis is a sign of an S-tier character in this franchise, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. What about Grey Worm? Fine, we'll put Grey Worm here too, whatever. You know, the funny thing about Aegon's dick exploding, other than Aegon's dick exploding, is that his little dragon maker can't produce him an heir to replace Jaehaerys. And since Jaehaerys' head had a divorce with his neck, Aegon's only true-born heir is his daughter Jaehaera. There's an irony here somewhere. I'm not sure. Larys plans to take Aegon away until everyone has destroyed themselves in the war, swooping in at the last second to clean up the kingdom.
Aegon the Realm's Delight.
This nickname, the Realm's Delight, that Aegon finally lands on, is what Rhaenyra was nicknamed. It's not as prevalent in the show, but in the books, Rhaenyra is basically the most popular girl in school, and Aegon wants a piece of that pie. I could deconstruct his character for ages, and maybe one day I will, let me know if you want to see that, but it all comes down to approval for Aegon. I think in this moment he's remembering just how good it felt to have everyone cheer for him in that dragon pit. If you remember back to the start of the season, Aegon does seem to care about the people of King's Landing. He's just bad at it.
The rats catch us!
So maybe he wants to reprimand his mistakes and seek the love that he can no longer get from his mother and the people of King's Landing. Aegon's fall from power has been really fun to watch, and I can't wait to see him try and claw some of that back in season 3.
I would name her after my, may she rest in peace, my old dog Small, because I just think that's a really cute name for a dragon.
Jeff. My name's Jeff.
Quick wellness check on Rhaena, and she is running around. Good for her. We'll check in again later. Hello, Daemon. How do you fancy usurping the throne? I'm actually trying to quit that. How about some psychedelics instead? I'm trying to quit that too, but yeah, go on then. Alfred, what the fuck? Who the fuck is that? Alfred, where are you?
I'm in the cart with Simon Rotterbill, and he can't drive. I just discovered he can't drive. And we're in a fucking golf buggy.
Hi, Daemon. I said in my video on episode 2 that I really liked the long shots that Geeta Patel did in that episode, and she's back for episode 8 doing more long shots, so I'm happy. We get a wonderful piece of Caraxes lore thanks to Peter Piper. Yes, this guy's name is Peter Piper.
Dragons do eat pigs, I assume.
Caraxes prefers them.
This guy loves bacon. Sir Alfred Broom has finally arrived as well. Back in episode 5, Rhaenyra sent him to go check on Daemon, and he's been travelling since, because the geography of Westeros is actually important in this show, and people don't just fast travel between Dragonstone and everywhere else. If somebody tries to tell you that this finale was as bad as late Game of Thrones, tell them to shut the fuck up, because no it isn't.
Fingered the bomb. The bomb.
Have you any message for him?
Tell him I would much like to finish our last conversation.
You had one fucking job, dickhead, and you didn't even deliver the
And in times like this...
With their talk of treason, the word traitor is carried on the wind, and I love how Daemon doesn't even budget this anymore.
This place will have you barking at the moon.
He sees a fucking green man later in the episode and is just like, okay.
What we need in this moment is a king.
Alfred, I'm not trying to be funny, but we've spent the last 6 episodes trying to stop this guy from taking the treason pill, so can you just fuck off, please? Look, I don't give a shit about Alfred Broom, and if we're being totally honest, you don't either, so let's just talk about the vision, because that's all we're here for. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but this Antler Man is more than likely one of the Green Men. Obviously it's one of the Green Men. This stupid ass show. So, the Green Men are real, and they're super deep-cut lore dudes who live on the Isle of Faces, the island full of weirwood trees in the middle of the God's Eye Lake next to Harrenhal. The First Men, as in the King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, the First Men, all that bullshit. The First Men,
You know how it goes.
were the oldest humans to live in Westeros, and they had a big old war with the Children of the Forest. These pixie fuckers from that boring Bran plotline that you can barely remember. Anyway, that war was ended on the Isle of Faces with the Pact over 10,000 years ago. And all of the trees on the Isle of Faces were carved with, you guessed it, faces to bear witness to the Pact. And the Order of the Green Men was established to defend the island. Now, you might be wondering, if this happened 10,000 years ago, what the fuck is a green man doing in Harrenhal now? And the answer to that is that I truly don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Alice told Daemon that
there are older things in this world than you or I or a living memory.
And this might just be an Easter egg to represent that for book fans, or it might be a hint to more White Walker nonsense to come, since in show canon, the children are the ones who made the White Walkers, which kind of ties the Green Men to that plotline. You know, this isn't even part of the vision. This video is going to be so late, by the way. Daemon's done watching Season 1 now, and he's living Season 2, which means the only thing he's got left to watch is Game of Thrones.
Well, I don't know why he's talking to a tree.
Okay, up first on the list we have Brendan Rivers, also known as Blood Raven for the raven-shaped birthmark on his face. He's also known as the Three-Eyed Crow, and yeah, this is that guy from Game of Thrones. It's kind of amusing that these are all the same person, but hey, at least they managed to give him the birthmark this time. They say that Lord Bloodraven has 1,000 eyes on one, but here he has 2, and my guess is that they didn't want the audience confusing him for Aemond. The huge cavern that he's in is the beginnings of the great weirwood tree north of the wall that he'll eventually become one with. There is a lot of Bloodraven, like a lot of Bloodraven lore, so to keep it brief, he was a Targaryen bastard who served as Hand of the King before being sent to the Night's Watch where he became Lord Commander and one day vanished without a trace, taking Darksister, one of the Targaryen ancestral swords, with him. We of course know that he ended up as one of the most powerful Green Seers of all time, so it's nice to finally see an accurate depiction of him here. We travel through the eyes of the Three-Eyed Raven and get an uncomfortably close shot of a White Walker. Do you remember Game of Thrones? I thought this guy looked really good in the behind the scenes footage, but why the fuck would they use that that's such a bad shot. Next up we have a dead dragon, and this is obviously a premonition of the wars to come. Sadly, I think this is sea smoke, and you can tell by the horns. I am going to do a brief spoiler section so I can talk about this more, but I will flag it and make it very obvious, so don't worry if you don't want to see that. Daemon continues through the battlefield, and I wasn't able to identify any heraldry to get a better idea of what we might be looking at here. This guy's helmet is kind of similar to the Velaryon soldiers we saw in Season 1, but I'm not really confident on that. Daemon has a cheeky drowning, and then we get to the real good stuff. Nostalgia. It's the comet from Season 2 of Game of Thrones. Nearly every POV character thinks that the Red Comet is about them, but it fits in nicest with the rebirth of dragons in the world. And the show seems to agree with me since it transitions into a shot of Dany's dragon eggs. And then, I have no idea who this could be, so leave your thoughts in the comments if you have any ideas. Now, does Daenerys showing up in a vision of the Song of Ice and Fire confirm her as the prophesized prince who was promised? No. But also, yeah, kind of. It's not like we're seeing Jon Snow here, and remember that in show canon, he's a confirmed Targaryen.
My real name is Aegon Targaryen.
Showrunner Ryan Condal stated that he didn't want to give a definitive answer to the prophecy, since that's for George Martin to decide. But since it's been 13 fucking years since the last book, Daenerys may as well be Azor Ahai. I mean, it doesn't hurt anyone. Apart from him, but I'm sorry, you had to go, man.
Dany, please!
It's worth noting that while Daemon does see Dany here, he has no idea who the fuck that is.
Who the fuck are you?
My name's Jeff.
As far as Daemon is concerned, that could be a child or grandchild he has with Rhaenyra, but that doesn't really matter since the outcome is the same. Daemon finally sees his wife on the throne. Not the version of her that worshipped him, but the version of her that he still hasn't sent that fucking email to. And as a final what the fuck moment for Daemon this season, Helaena talks to him within the dream.
Yeah, we've got quite a famous face in there that might be recognisable.
The face on the weirwood tree is George R. Martin.
So let me get this straight. Daemon gets a vision from a weirwood tree with the author's face on it, then gets told by Helaena that he's just part of a story and knows his role within it.
You know your part.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, me too, Lee. That's fucking sick.
Oh, come on! You gotta admit this is cool!
Before I talk a little bit more about Helaena, I am going to talk about spoilers! I'm going to spoil the show, because Daemon's seen the ending, and we need to talk about the... I'm going to spoil the show! Skip to this bit, I'm going to spoil it! So what Daemon is seeing here is his own death within the God's Eye Lake. The first thing that Alice told him was,
You will die in this place.
and yeah, she's completely correct. Since Seasmoke is dead here, we might be seeing a glimpse at the second Battle of Tumbleton, which is one of the bloodier battles of the war. Hugh, Ulf, Daeron, Adam all go down here, so yeah, this is going to be a big battle whenever that happens. There's also this neat little visual foreshadowing with Rhaenyra on the throne being framed against this gargoyle breathing fire, which I think is alluding to her becoming dinner for Sunfire later on.
Rhaenyra Targaryen was murdered by her brother, or rather, his dragon. It ate her while her son watched.
Might be a coincidence, but the final shot of Nyra is framed very similarly to when Joffrey is talking about her death in Game of Thrones, and I think that's neat. I think Alice is crying at the start of this scene because she's seeing Daemon's death as well. He's clearly grown on her, you know? Okay, spoiler talk is over. Welcome back for everyone who skipped. Since Helena is implied to be a Greenseer, it's likely that she's functionally a double agent for the Blacks, since she knows that they are righteous in this version of the story. Daemon's actions are going to be influenced by the bigger picture going forward, and Helena may be the same. It's not exactly like she likes the Greens anyway. Her brother husband is a piece of shit, and her other brother is a psychotic loser. Every time she hangs out with her mom, she ends up sad or, "Get away from me, leave me alone, please!"
I was happier before I was queen.
Please let her be happy in season 3. She's like the only nice person in this show. Alicent can understand Helena perhaps more than anybody. It's her role as queen that estranged her from the one positive relationship in her life and the burden of motherhood that chipped down her sense of self until she turned into the bitter woman we saw towards the end of season 1.
What have I done? But what was expected of me?
But motherhood is a two-sided coin, and the love she bears for her children is what keeps her going. It's nice to see her defend Helena so fiercely as Aemond tries to enlist her in his war. Alicent will always defend her children, even from each other. She clearly sees herself in Helena, and Helena isn't a rapist or a murderer, so it's pretty obvious who her favourite is. I just don't understand how she can be written so faithfully here, and then be okay with letting her children die later in the episode. But we'll get to that later. Rhaena, where are you? Oh, fuck. Shit, my bad. I'll let you sleep.
A knight will comport himself with grace at the Queen's table.
Best make me a knight then.
You need to leave!
You know, if Rhaenys was alive, that comment just wouldn't have... Dude, look at Laurent. He is ready to kill him. I just noticed that. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Dragon Seeds. Episode 7 was their time to shine, but yeah, Hugh and Adam seem to be fitting in decently, and Ulf is...
Day in the life of a true Brexit geezer. Wake up and meet the wife, Susan. Rev up the Bugatti, yee. Quick stop at Toby's and load up that plane.
Oh, and some more of these little birds.
When those little birds arrive, you have to fucking eat them.
Bring on the birds.
30 quails.
Yeah, to be honest, Ulf could probably work on a few things.
He is the Prince, Ulf. Prince Jacaerys Velaryon.
Shit!
It does not befit a prince to pout.
I'm not pouting.
What would you call it then?
Jacaerys is grumpy because he's always fucking grumpy, let's be real. He's been in a pretty shit mood since the Dragon Seeds showed up, walking, talking reminders of his own impurity that put their fucking feet on the table and lick their fingers. Stop that, Ulf! But Baelor is here to tell him to lock in.
Get up and take your place by your mother's side.
Just like she told Corlys to lock in, or Rhaena to lock in. Okay, can we characterize Baelor? All she's done is prop up other characters, but Baelor's cool as fuck in the source material. Show Baelor is super mild-mannered and reserved compared to the book, where she's basically a mini version of her dad who rides around with a pet monkey and gets drunk with the gold cloak. She's just way more fun.
You said not to engage, so I didn't. Exactly.
Book Baelor would have burned this entire fucking forest down if she knew that Serpenus was in there somewhere. I hate to say it, but a lot of the secondary characters in this show are kind of weak compared to their book counterparts. Thrones found the time to characterize glup shittos from the books like Grey Worm or Hot Pie. Book Grey Worm's entire wiki fits into one page, and this is Baelor's in comparison. Keep in mind that Fire and Blood isn't a traditional novel, it's like a history book. This is the short version. Things aren't all bad though, so let's talk about a character who's been done way better than I expected. About, 6 weeks ago, I had this to say about Criston Cole.
I fucking hate Criston Cole. I will not try and act like I'm impartial. He killed Lord Beesbury, he's homophobic, and he killed Eric and Arik. This guy is the fucking worst. I hate him. I didn't even mention Jacaerys. I like Fabian Franco, he seems like a really nice guy, but I fucking hate Criston Cole.
And you know what, now that I've had time to think about it, I fucking love, well, I don't love him, but Criston Cole has grown on me a lot. He might be my new favourite character.
The dragons dance, and men are like dust under their feet. And all our fine thoughts, all our endeavours are as nothing. We march now toward our annihilation. To die will be a kind of relief. Don't you think?
Criston Cole is a man who has spent his entire life honing himself to a point. And in spite of his base-born status and Dornish heritage, by luck and the whim of a bored teenager,
I choose Sir Criston Cole.
he found himself in a position of incomparable prestige for a knight. And more than that, he was given a purpose, a set of rules to follow and a white cloak to wear. But when the rules are obey the royal family and don't have sex, what do you do when the princess asks to have sex with you? Yes, Criston gives into his lust. I'm not trying to absolve him of blame, but if you reverse the gender roles in this scenario, the fucked up power dynamic really takes forefront. This moment of giving into his desire sets him on his path. The forbidden fruit tastes the sweetest, and Criston can't get enough.
Desire for women has brought me grief after grief.
Then resist it.
I would that it was so simple.
The only impulse that he has less of a check on than his lust is his impulse for violence. The more time that passes, the more shame he feels, the more violent he becomes, the sharper he hones. But a sword can't compare to a dragon, and he finds that out the hard way at Rook's Rest. For years he has sought to avoid his guilt by projection. He is outwardly bitter and hateful to anything that resembles his own indulgence.
Spoiled cunt.
What he can't face, he can kill. So it's pretty telling that one of the few times he confronts his own shame, he chooses to kill himself.
To die will be a kind of relief.
The hopelessness he felt then is reflected now.
Give it to Cole.
Once more in his life, he is a plaything for those above him. In spite of the position he's raised to, he still feels lesser. His class, his morals, his character, he knows he is undeserving. And now, the one thing he had agency over is lost to him as well.
My philosophy was this: to protect the righteous and dispense justice on the rest.
You're not fit for the white cloak.
Now, you saw what I saw.
What is one man to a big fucking dragon? When Alicent found him in that Godswood, she brought him back from oblivion.
She saved my life. Twice. Once from the headsman's axe and once from myself.
She is and has been the only thing keeping this man going.
Since then, she has been the beacon I follow.
She's the only person to truly know him, all of him. All of his sin and lust and envy is laid bare before her, and for the loan of her interest, he will keep going. He will fight and die, not for a birthright, not for justice or glory or honor, but for her. And just to be clear, Criston is a murderer and a hypocrite. Even now, he cannot separate his thoughts from his actions.
Perhaps all men are corrupt.
What about him?
And true honor is a mist.
Or him?
That melts in the morning.
Or him. Look, you get my point. Criston is wrong. He's not dishonorable because of society. He's dishonorable because it makes him feel better in the moment. And now that all of his short-term gratifications have failed him, he's forced to accept that he's the fucking worst. He's made his name. Kingmaker. History will see him for what he truly is, and no songs will be sung of his bravery. Gwaine confronts him about Alicent, but it's not even like he's bothering to hide it anymore. Daemon and Aemond find out that they're dead men walking this episode, but Cole knows that already, and he welcomes an end to it all with open arms. The only thing that Criston Cole finds more horrifying than Dragonflame is himself. Fucking holy yap, am I right? Get on to the next scene already. Alicent does not give a fuck about Criston Cole, though. She could care less, bro. That's her dildo. Yeah, Rhaenyra this episode is really fucking boring. I'm sorry, it's true. Nice to see her with the crown on, though. She looks great in it. Do you remember last episode when Rhaenyra locked a bunch of poor people in the garage with fucking Godzilla because she thinks she's the messiah of Westeros?
I had hoped my advantage may be in deterrence.
What? You have 7 fucking dragons. Just go and take King's Landing. What the fuck could they possibly do against you? It's right across the street. It would take like 20 minutes to get their tops. I don't buy for a single second that this was for a deterrent. And what the fuck is he
Queen who never was.
Aw, he renamed his ship after Rhaenys. Cute. I'm not mad anymore. He even commissioned a statue of her for the figurehead. Huh? Hello? What do you mean you can't actually see it in the episode? So what was the fucking point? You can't fork out the budget to actually finish the season, but you can hire people to make a statue of Eve Best that you can't even fucking see. And where the fuck is Harold Westerling gone? Does anyone know? Did we just forget about him like we forgot about Daemon? By the way, I cannot believe we got a casting for Daemon the Drunken from The Hedge Knight before Daemon the Daring from the show about his family that is 2 seasons deep. And just take a look at this sorry excuse for a wiki page. This guy's tied to so many massively important characters, and this is the only fucking picture they can use.
Disappointing.
Okay, yeah, I'm done complaining now.
Let our foes beware, be they Lannister or Greyjoy.
Wrong. The true enemy is the polyamorous, and they are en route, so you better watch out, Corlys.
I will not sail with a man who cannot best me.
Oh my god, how many mud battles did they have? He has got so much faith in those boots, I'd be going straight overboard. Good guy Simon decided to tell Rhaenyra about Daemon and Alfred's little boys' night. Treason. Harrenhal looks so fucking cool. We gotta get Caraxes out of this place. He looks so sad. Anyway, Daemon, doesn't do a treason. Yay!
Solar Armazis.
Do you remember Game of Thrones?
Well met, Lord Tywin.
Game of Thrones? Do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember? I do remember HBO far too fucking well. It's not a fond memory for people, you ghouls. You ruined it. Focus on the story at hand. We don't need any glub shittos.
Got to the very end, and I thought, okay.
If the city surrenders, they will ring the bells and raise the gates. Please, if you hear them ringing the
bells, they ring for horror. A dead king, a city under siege.
A wedding.
Exactly.
I was confused.
I like that you can see Alfred slinking off while everyone else celebrates. Because yeah, Daemon could absolutely kill him for treason.
I never took you for a turncloak, Sir Alfred.
And honestly, if it wasn't for the 6-episode psychosis he's been in, Daemon probably would have tried to use up the throne for himself. So it is nice to see him have an actual character arc, you know, unlike some.
There's only one beer left.
Do you know what it was like for us? To grow up fatherless?
Fuck my stupid son. I ain't playing. And fuck that child support. I ain't paying. The only thing I'm giving him is trauma.
I thought this scene was fantastic. It greatly recontextualizes Alan's entire character because his formality to callers hasn't been out of respect. It's been because he fucking hates this guy and has been holding his tongue for the last season. I want to ask you something though. Yes, you. Which episode of season 2 do you think this shot is from? I'll give you a second to think. You should leave a comment with your guess. Please! Okay, and drum roll, it is episode 2! That was fun, wasn't it? But did you notice that every shot since the Deadbeat song has been from a different episode? Probably fucking not, because we're on the same set every time. It's not a big deal, but variety is the spice of life. Why don't we use the Hull Brothers house more? Or, I don't know, the fucking boat? Corlys has been building this thing for the whole season, and we've not even seen him on it. Up until this episode, we hadn't seen the greatest sailor in the world on a fucking ship. If I don't see Corlys on a boat by the end of this fucking season, I'm gonna be fuming. There we go.
Oh, Alan is pissed.
And even then, it's not even his boat. It's a fucking canoe that he's taking to the boat. Oh! Aemond interrupts the staring contest that Helena's having with Fleabottom to try the outrageous strategy of asking her nicely to set thousands of men on fire instead of whatever the fuck his plan was earlier.
It isn't a question.
They have defiled our birthright, made commoners into dragon lords.
Bro, calm down.
We share the same blood.
It's interesting to me that he tries to relate to her on this, because I don't get the impression that they're friends at all. Of course he tries to bond with her over fucking eugenics. I do like this little detail of Aemond restricting himself from touching her though. Helena's aversion to physical touch has always been one of the ways that her neurodivergency has been showcased, so it's nice to see Aemond show just a little bit of humanity and respect to her. This doesn't really matter though, because Helena saw what Aemond did. Double whammy regicide fratricide is not as effective if someone knows that you did it. She tells him that Aegon will be king again, and that Aemond will die in the God's Eye Lake.
You'll be dead.
Whoa, spoiler warning! I enjoy seeing the differing ways that people respond to their fates. Aemond seems terrified, Daemon has clarity of purpose, and Cole is completely apathetic to his future. And I think clarity of purpose and introspecting on their fates and futures within the larger framework of the realm is what this episode is all about. But I don't want to see any dilly-dallying next season, because these characters were desperately lacking a bookend to the journeys that they went on this time round, and making the fans wait 2 more years to see what happens next is extra sore for us all, because all this community does is wait! And I know I haven't talked about the Rhaenyra and Alicent scene, and it's because I don't want to. First of all, how the fuck did she get here? She spoke to Orwell about giving her passage, but he's a maester, not a smuggler. It's like Churchill talking to his dentist about how to infiltrate Nazi Berlin. And did we forget about this?
Let no vessel come or go from our harbour without our inspection.
How could you have forgotten about this? It's in the same episode, it's not even been an hour. I'm not going to go too hard on this because a lot of the criticisms I had of episode 3 apply here as well, and I don't want to repeat myself, but Alicent's plan is for Rhaenyra to take the city without bloodshed while Aemond attacks Harrenhal, and then go leave and sell oranges in Essos with Helena, and she's chill with Rhaenyra coming home and killing her 2 sons.
If I am to take the throne, I must put an end to the opposition.
Huh?
You're much changed.
That's because this isn't Alicent Hightower, it's Alicent Bungalow or some shit. Do you remember earlier when I said that she'd always defend her kids? Guess not. Do you remember earlier when I said that people don't fast travel to and from Dragonstone? Guess not.
If the king will not seek justice, the queen will. Sir Criston, bring me the Eye of Lucerys Velaryon.
Princess, the queen has requested that the child be brought to her immediately.
We are family, but in the world, we must defend our own.
This Alicent would never agree to those terms, and I think the writers have bent her in order to fit the Rhaenyra Alicent Wattpad fanfiction that they want to write. And you might be thinking, well, events have changed, Alicent. That's her arc, right?
Well, it should have been good. You know, we want that, and then also it's good.
Yeah, you can't just do it.
Right? And
I like these characters, I think they're very compelling, their relationship is tragic, but there's a time and a place. You don't need to break the world every 4 episodes to have them go, ooh, we're at war and we feel bad about it. Aren't the men behind this just so evil? Oh, but we can't do anything about it. Both of these scenes end with, it's too late, events are in motion.
So what was the fucking point in all this then?
Come with me.
Oh, fuck off. I'm not going to even entertain why this is dumb. You know it, Rhaenyra knows it, Bungalow ought to know it, but the writers apparently don't. Way to turn a great character into a blundering idiot. Fuck you. I'm glad the music is amazing so I don't have to end the video on such a downer. This piano that begins the ending montage is a softer version of the strings that we hear when Jaehaerys dies. This track is called A Son for a Son, and since that's what Alicent agreed to, the motif is an awesome way to kick off this composition. And it trails into these 4 notes. And these 4 notes are actually the Dies Irae, which is a centuries-old Mass for the Dead, used to represent death everywhere. You've heard this before, you heard it earlier in this video, actually.
I fucking hate Criston Cole. I will not try and act like I'm impartial.
Jawadi seems to be using them to punctuate the no-turning-back moments of Hot D. We hear them at the beginning of the Battle of Rook's Rest, as well as after Rhaenyra and Alicent's first meeting. You don't need the numbers on screen anymore, you guys are clever. There are other examples, but I am actually trying to upload this video. We see the Hightowers marching with a CGI Daemon flying overhead, as well as the Lannisters and Leffords marching to Harrenhal to meet the Starks, Daemon, and the other Riverlords in battle. 2-year wait for the fish feed, ouch. But I love how Jawadi weaves in the themes of the individual houses to this scene, it's so cool. The Triarchy and the Velaryons are also fated to clash. 2-year wait for the gullet, ouch. And Rhaenyra is still fucking running around. Wait, did she finally get there? Oh shit, she actually got there! This handsome young man is Sheep Stealer, and Rhaenyra is claiming her in place of a character called Nettles from the book. Again, trying to release this, so I'm not going to comment. Otto, finally!
Right, catch us!
He's in jail, I'm not sure where. Maybe the Beesburys have him since they were fighting Lannister forces, but we really don't know. Aegon is headed to Essos, probably Bravos,
To live with the goat fuckers.
and I do love these final shots of Rhaenyra and Alicent. Rhaenyra is literally trapped by the weight of history and the burdens of rule, meanwhile Alicent is free. I suppose the silver lining of having no agency over the plot or characters around her is that she can do whatever the fuck she wants next season. Probably more baths. And that's it for the next 2 years. This montage was put together amazingly, but fuck me does it sting that there's no episode 9 afterwards. Episode 8 would be a pretty solid episode if it was 8 of 10, but it's not, it's the finale. So I'm going to have to give this a stinky 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching this far. I really hope everyone enjoyed this series. I've learned a lot from it, and I've got some plans for future videos that I'm excited to share soon. Episode 5 will release eventually, I don't know when. Bye!